Hi guys, back again with another scuba diving accident reaction video. Today we're going to be reacting to Rescue 911 Downward Diver. And as always with these kind of videos, it's not to be mean to the divers involved in the accident, it's to use this video as a case study so we can learn from it and avoid having these accidents ourselves, with having some professional input from myself, Narked Tom, and that way ultimately we can all avoid these kind of accidents happening to ourselves. Though I will go through it with a critical lens, so if I spot any problems or anything what could be improved on, I will mention it, that way then we get the full value out of the video. That being said guys, let's jump into the video. Oh, it's so retro! Like, it even has a square aspect ratio. That's wild.
On March 19th, 1994, a group of 4 friends, who were all members of a Minnesota rescue team, went diving off the coast of Destin, Florida. Okay. What should have been the trip of a lifetime became a dark reminder that the sea is unforgiving.
Well, it's always so dramatic in these American kind of shows. What's he grabbing? Oh.
I had a feeling something
bad start.
was
Do not touch marine life, guys.
Rold had had major
So
cancer surgery
unnecessary.
a year and a half before with 4 months of chemotherapy. Okay. And I knew he was still tired. But I also know what a careful diver he is, and he likes it, and I like it.
Does the insurance company hear this? He's a careful diver, guys. He's not reckless, he's very careful. Insurance company, take note.
Cliff Schmidt was the most experienced diver in the group.
Okay.
This was Mike and Rold's first time in saltwater.
Ooh, first
so
time.
We're really excited about it.
So not familiar with this.
Most of the diving we do at home is black water, diving in ponds and rivers.
So freshwater diving.
Moving cars, looking for evidence, bodies.
Oh, the police divers.
Rocky Whites had made more than 2,000 dives.
A lot.
It was a 24-hour drive down here.
Wow. America's big.
And we didn't get a lot of sleep.
Quick pause. So 2 red flags to start this off. So diving in unfamiliar conditions is always a bit harder. So if you are diving somewhat unfamiliar, let your buddies know, and also let any guide or instructor know as well. That way then they can keep a closer eye on you during the dive, and also add extra information during the briefing, so that way then you can know how to handle these different conditions better, because even small differences can affect a dive quite a lot. So just keep that in mind. Second one, do not dive when tired. It's similar to like operating a vehicle when tired. You don't do it because you don't want to fall asleep at the wheel. When diving, you don't want to lose lack of concentration and not be fully with it on a dive. It's the same situations like you want to be fit and healthy for diving and have no sickness or ailments. And tiredness, it kind of is like an ailment if you want to think it that way. So it's not safe to dive when tired. So ideally after a 24-hour drive, they should have had like a day of just rest before going diving, or at least had a sleep before going on this dive. Because fatigue can definitely make some bad mistakes happen, and it's one of those kind of snowball effects where you don't think it's too big a deal, but it can create lots of problems down the line on a dive.
Although he never dived in the ocean, Mike Hubrid had been freshwater diving for 4 years.
Okay,
Me and
some experience.
were partnered up, but between the first and second dive, I felt a little motion sickness.
I mean seasick.
So I just decided just to stay on top.
Okay.
Roll then went over to Cliff and Rocky and asked them if he could partner up with them.
Spot to sit out on a dive and not feeling it well.
Rocky on this side, and you on my side, and we'll just dive tight, okay?
Good, staying close.
Really our close-knit group. We know breathing patterns, we know how people are feeling.
That's good.
So I had no concern.
That's really good if you know your dive buddies, because they can recognise any irregular or weird behaviour by them. So that's actually a good thing. I wonder if this is going to be a recreation though, because it sounds like it's
The
all
Florida
happened.
trip was basically a fun dive and also a learning dive.
That's a
Cliff was training
contradiction.
us in Nitrox diving.
Just real quick. Fun dives are there to dive without any obligations or have any objectives. A training dive is there with a specific objective in mind, so you can pass a certification. You can't have both together. It's either a fun dive or a training dive. You can't be both. I'm going to assume it just means training dive, and it's a bit of a weird phrasing what went on there. Also, using a rope by the way is a good idea. It makes descents a lot safer, and also there's probably a marker buoy or a dive flag on top, so there's always a safe exit as well from the dive, which is good.
And Cliff were wearing the Aga mask that encloses your full face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, trim looks good, but again, I think it might be a
10 to 15
recreation.
minutes into the dive, I checked my air supply,
Okay.
then grabbed over and checked Rold's.
Why did you check it for him? Not
His air
giving
was
it
down to
some?
about 1,500 psi,
That-
which I felt was fairly low.
That's half a tank, by
So
the
we
way.
bought a tiny
Same as a 100
and,
bar.
It was at that point that we made the signal to head back to find the anchor line.
That's smart to turn the dive when you realise someone's getting low. Ideally, it would have been more like 2/3 of a tank when they did a turn, but this is still fine.
I didn't find it.
Oh, bad navigation. So
I thought I'd better check the air supply again just to see how
smart. Make sure it's still good. We've got to spend more time to look.
Roll is now down to 1,000 psi.
So you need to shallow
I
up.
was really kind of shocked, thinking
That's a third of a
we're really
tank.
going through air.
Cliff looked at me, motioned up.
Yeah, signal
which
thumbs up. That means
kind
go
of
up
caught me by surprise.
because it's early in dive. But that guy's losing a lot of air fast, so they do need to start thinking about ending the dive.
I couldn't see any problem. He looked fine. He was just breathing a
I wonder
lot.
if there's also bubbles you can see, because that would have caught that, so you can see he's hemorrhaging gas. But it's unsure.
Cliff was rotating, looking for the anchor line, and Roll just bolted away from us, headed for
Ooh,
the surface.
did he run out of air? If that's the case,
I still don't understand why he didn't do what we're trained to do. Just
right. And what you're trying to do is not do this. If you run out of air on a dive, the best thing to do is look for the nearest air source, or gas source, I guess, because on Nitrox, and that will be your buddies. And as you can see in the clip, if that is an accurate portrayal of this, they are close together, so they are right by you. Signal some out of air with this motion, and they can provide you with that alternate. It's a bit more clunky with the full face mask because you have to take the whole thing off your head and put it on, but that is the closest air source, and it's a lot easier to get there. I don't know how shallow they were at that point when he bolted for service. On top of that, what he's doing, clawing for the surface, is not good. Obviously, if you are doing like a Caesar, long exhale, almost a humming sound going but you also want to be deflating with your LPI to stop any gas inside your BCT expanding, which will make you have a faster, uncontrolled ascent. On the other hand, it's kind of elevated, but you want to have it straight up in case there is any boat traffic, so that it hits your hand instead of your head, because you don't want to get knocked out on the surface. So yeah, he should have gone for his buddies and got them to help him out here, not just panicked. But in a scary situation like having no air underwater, I can get someone panicking and logic goes out the window, plus he's fatigued from a lack of sleep. These things happen.
air from Cliff or myself.
Yeah, should have done that. They're confused. They shouldn't chase them, by the way, because that could be dangerous for themselves, because they are at risk at DCS, potentially, if they go up too fast. And he's at the surface.
As I looked back up, Rold was coming back
God.
towards us, face first.
Did he pass out? And he forgot to inflate at the surface, so he passed out before he
headed for the bottom
inflated.
at a very fast rate of descent.
Oh gosh.
With his hands just dangling behind his body.
And he's going to hit the head. Face first.
He hit the bottom in about 83 feet of water. Face first, right on.
It's like 25 meters-ish, guys, for the metric. And he's unconscious, he's just not responsive.
Clifford and I picked him up and stood him up
Is
and
that-
looked into his mask.
Tap him
to
on the
see what
mask or so,
problem
let's see if he's
was.
awake. Shaking him a bit, yeah.
And his face was distorted.
Destroyers.
I couldn't recognize his eyes. I couldn't recognize his
So he's not like
cheeks.
out cold,
I
he's-
couldn't recognize anything. I immediately went to remove the spider or the band that holds the mask
Wait,
on,
what?
Give him
Don't take that mask off. Don't take that mask off. Don't take it off. Oh my god. Please do not say to take the mask off. Wait a second. Let's go a tiny second back. What the heck? Oh my gosh. That is what you would call a very, 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 very bad mask squeeze. Oh my gosh. Let's just firstly go back to the mask situation first. If someone's unconscious underwater, do not take their regulator or mask off, whatever they're using as a breathing apparatus. It actually, even if it's out of air, it acts as a barrier, stopping them actually subconsciously trying to breathe the water. Because even if you're out cold, your body goes into autopilot mode and it just starts to breathe automatically, if you didn't know that or not. And if you have obviously the mask on or regulator, it blocks that actual problem from happening. You obviously get nothing, but it's better than taking water into your lungs and causing yourself to drown. So by them taking the mask off, he's now potentially going to subconsciously breathe, taking water in, and cause a stimulated drowning, which is not good at all. But the face looking like that, That is a mask squeeze. Because he descended, by the way, without equalising his mask, because a mask is an airspace, as it goes down due to pressure, that space will get smaller and smaller, which makes a lot of discomfort on your face and makes that seal even tighter and tighter around your face, which, if you don't resolve it, can cause a mask squeeze or barotrauma, which is a fancy word for it, like that. When you're conscious, you automatically just breathe out your nose a little bit. Most people do subconsciously, and you won't have to ever experience this. If you ever feel like your masks are very tight on your face, first always try exhaling out your nose. And if it still feels tight on your face, you might want to loosen your mask just slightly. It's one of those problems which is very easy to avoid, but not when you're unconscious. That is very, very severe though. I don't know if it's because of the dramatising and reproduction of this, but that is honestly shockingly bad. Jeez.
I don't know what dead people look like.
Yeah.
But this was it. His tongue was sticking out as far as a tongue could possibly go.
Gosh.
There was fluid coming out of every cavity of his face.
The fact they know his tongue sticking out definitely is like the mask off end.
The only thing I could do was to get rolled to the surface right away.
Why are you taking the weight back off?
So we started a free ascent with rolled in tow at a much faster rate that I was comfortable with.
No, do not do a fast ascent. Still do it controlled and steady. This increases risk of DCS, not only for him, but for you. He's had 2 fast ascents now, so he's got a good chance to get in the bends.
This would be,
but it gives you guys the chance to get in the bends.
An exercise in bringing a corpse to the surface.
But they could be injured divers too now. Even though it's not pleasant, as long as that mask stayed on, they could take more time with it. Because it took the mask off, they probably did panic and take it to the surface. Thankfully, they're near the boat, though, so the boat can spot them, so that's good. Hopefully one guy's starting to give him rescue breaths. And another guy can start getting him out of the gear slowly if they're getting towards the boat, if the boat's approaching. Crew helping him on board, that's good. So it's not just the divers trying to pull him out, it's the crew as well, which is smart.
You just couldn't tell it was him. That's where to describe it, the big gigantic hickey.
Yeah, that's how they look.
You see the perfect outline of the mask.
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
I do first aid as a normal duty.
Smart, get him down. Hopefully maybe someone will call for help if he isn't responsive.
And in positive pressuring, you're actually putting...
So he's not breathing if you're using that.
As you can
That's correct. If someone's not breathing, use the positive pressure on the emergency oxygen to force them to breathe. You can even do chest compressions as well. So if you have 2 people doing that, take it in turns.
As he exhaled, a bloody froth appeared.
Oh my gosh. But they called for help, I think they said. Yep, so now, oh that's great, they're actually going to go out to them. Sometimes it's just like they're prepared on the shore, the medical services are, but they actually have a boat to go out to them. Talking to him's good, to reassure him, and see if he's conscious maybe, to help get him back in.
If I were to ever be involved in a diving accident, I would want that same group of people to be there for me.
Bar the mask, it was a pretty well executed thing. They shallowed up early, they turned the dive around, ended it, got him to the boat, administered CPR. Smart.
He looked like the old sci-fi human fly type thing. His whole face was probably going on a half again its normal size.
Jeez. That's seriously bad.
Can I get this man to a dive chamber alive?
Smart, stick him to a dive chamber just in case he might have DCS. Because he had 2 rapid ascents, so there's a risk.
At Baptist Hospital, 63-year-old Roald Knudsen was examined by emergency physician John.
Love the stash.
His symptoms were not consistent with the bends, other
than lucky.
Our lingering concern about his vision.
Wait, the head squeeze was that bad?
He was extremely lucky.
Wow. But lucky not to get any drowning, lucky to not have any DCS, that's amazing. Why are Americans so cheesy?
Since the incident.
You can play volleyball again, life's great!
And I looked at my
happy
gauge,
music!
I was at 30 feet, and that's the last I remember. I passed out
so
like
passed
a
out
light
10
switch
meters.
and went plummeting to the bottom.
Every time that ball hit the wall in front of my face, I get a face full of sand.
He must have been overweighted.
Friends from the past 10 years thought,
so he must have ran out of air or gas because he's on Nitrox. As he got to the surface, he said he passed out at 30 feet, which is approximately 9-10 meters, and just got to the surface. But for him to go back down again, he must have been overweight because he would have ideally been deflating a bit. But if he was exactly like that and wasn't deflating, there would have been a little bit of air still in his BCD, which would have expanded. which should have kept him afloat to some extent. So he should have too much weight on him, so that on the surface he just went straight down like a rock. He must have been overweighted. So that's another error, which goes probably with them being tired when doing the dive, that they had bad setup as well because they weren't thinking straight, so they put too many weights on.
Happened to roll. He's always been one of our more cautious divers. But on this trip,
hear that, insurance company? He's always a cautious diver.
Rested for a whole day. I was probably 15 pounds overweighted.
50?
The biggest mistake I made was not watching my...
15 pounds overweighted. That's roughly 7 kilos. That looks like fairly warm water as well. And I think they're wearing like long finished wetsuits, maybe 3, maybe 5 mil. But 7 kilos on its own, that's over what he said as well. He needed. That's so much weight. Again, freshwater diver though, probably he doesn't probably dive. Maybe in wetsuit, he might dive in a dry. He might dive in a dry suit instead, and he needs more weights. So he might just assume he has the same amount of weight as he has in fresh water. And also again, because he's gone from freshwater to saltwater, saltwater is more buoyant than freshwater. So he thought, oh, maybe I need some more weights. So he put on that. So again, it's just bad kind of maybe weight knowledge because he's just kind of guessing, oh, saltwater, I heard I need more weights. And he just went way overboard on that. Yeah, that's why he sung like a rock. He might have had a slower ascent if it wasn't for being so overweighted. He maybe even stayed somewhat on the surface if he'd just been unconscious at the surface, which would have been a lot safer. Obviously no barrel trauma, and then his buddies could have just gone up to him and got him out then. Still at risk of being hit by a boat though, but yeah, overweighting, not good.
Ages, and instead of diving one-on-one, I went in a threesome. Of course, those are 2 fellows that saved my life.
Yeah, this
is. Let's go diving, that's easier.
I have completely physically recovered from the
That's
accident,
great.
Except for a little bit of peripheral vision off my
He had
left
long-term
eye.
problems with this? Damn, I've never heard of
that Roll didn't have any diving maladies. The AGA mask did not allow any water into Roll's lungs.
But
also,
you took it off?
With
Or did they not?
Nitrox gave Roll the advantage of having more oxygen in his system.
Oh, that's true. So that, yeah, being on Nitrox reduces the chance of DCS.
Quick thinking of the other divers, they recognized a diver in trouble and got him with a rapid but safe ascent, got him on oxygen straight away.
That's another contradiction, guys. Rapid but safe ascent. No rapid ascents are safe. It should be a controlled ascent at a safe rate, not rapids. So don't try and justify it. Oh, it was still safe. No, it's a rapid ascent. Don't add the safe word there. It was just a rapid ascent.
Roll's wife Carol had joined him at the hospital that day.
The doctor said there'd been extensive hemorrhaging behind the eyes. That was the first time I was really frightened.
I guess it could have actually damaged his eyesight,
I was
apparently.
trying to imagine what our life would be like if he couldn't read, if he couldn't work, if he could drive his car.
10 miles?
Looking the way he did, he said to me, I am not going to tell you what you want to hear. I am going to go on diving.
I love that, getting back on the horse straight away. I like when people don't get knocked by this sort of stuff and just continue like, I'm not going to be scarred by diving, I'm not going to have a bad experience, I'm going to take it forward as a learning thing.
And they put themselves at
fair play
great
to
risk
him.
of getting the bends or having decompression sickness. Cliff and Rocky and Mike are my guardian angels.
Yeah.
I owe my life to them.
They did save you, my guy.
We go swimming tomorrow. You'd better be near me. You're the swimmer.
Every day is another day that needs to be cherished. And I don't worry about tomorrow.
I'm glad it turned into a positive experience.
I've got a lot of good years left to me if I don't break any more rules.
Don't say that, because if the insurance company do watch this, they're going to be like, my guy, that's very reckless. Oh dear. Yeah, that was a great video. Just to go over that, I mentioned several times, he's a cautious diver. Oh, whenever we think of Roy, he's the cautious diver. It does feel like, just in case the insurance company watch this, that they're like, oh yeah, he did follow the rules, he was good. Because just in case you guys don't know, when it comes to diving insurance, firstly, you should have it. But secondly, if you're shown to do reckless behaviour or anything just not following standards, they might not pay you out for your insurance. So it's very important that you do actually follow it to a letter and be as conservative as possible on the dive. Because they might be like, oh, you've got to pay your actual medical bills here. And obviously diving in the US, that can be very expensive. And with the hyperbaric chambers, when it comes to getting DCS, that can be very expensive if you end up having that kind of situation. So definitely make sure you are diving conservatively. Obviously this is back in the day, so they probably don't have, I don't know if they would have had diving computers. It said 1994, I think it said.
19th, 1994.
But I don't know if back then they would have had diving computers on all the divers and stuff. Let me know if anyone was diving back then. I wasn't born until a year later than that, so I wasn't diving back then. But I still remember dive tables when I learned to dive and whatnot, so they probably were diving off that instead of computers, I'm assuming.
Are you sure about that?
But just to go over the points, they were diving in unfamiliar conditions. So again, luckily I think the divers were looking out more for him, his dive buddies were, because of that. That's why they're checking on the gauge for him, even though he should have been checking it himself. The second issue was he was tired. I think they all were a little bit, so the setup was a bit sloppy. That's why they misjudged how much weight they needed, so he was overweighted, which can, as we've seen in previous reaction videos, can cause a myriad of problems. After that, he was chucking through his air. Just might have been uncomfortable, might have been because of the extra weight, not entirely sure. I don't know if it could have been something wrong set up with the full face mask as well. That could be a potential issue there. But all that said, he chewed through his air. Thankfully they realised it and turned the dive around. But it looks like when they were ascending, he suddenly panicked because he ran out of air and he bolted for surface. Instead of going to his buddies, he should have gone to his buddies to get I was going to say air source, but it's gas source because they're on Nitrox from them. When at surface, obviously make sure you inflate fully. He didn't inflate because he's unconscious. And with the overweighting, he went straight down. Was unable to equalize his mask, so he had the full mask squeeze or barotrauma, which caused a horrendous face squeeze. Do not take the mask off a diver who's unconscious underwater. Just get to the surface at a safe rate. If you can, obviously shake them a bit, tap them, make some noise, see if you can get them to respond. But if they're not responsive, just slowly get them to the surface. Once on surface, you want to then fully inflate both yourselves and them, get them on their backs, their heads upwards. Again, try and see if you can talk to them on surface, make some noise, tap their mask, go, hey buddy, see if you can get them to respond to you. If they're not responsive, take their mask off, see if they're breathing. And if they're not breathing, you might need to start doing rescue breaths at that point. Beyond that as well, because there's multiple people, one of you can hopefully shout the boat, inflate a surface marker buoy to help signal the boat, blow a whistle, etc, while you're doing rescue breaths. Once the boat starts to approach you, then you want to start unclipping them out of the BCD so you can get them out onto the boat as fast as possible in a safe manner. Hopefully if there's crew on board the boat, which there should be, they can help lift them on the boat so it's not all you having to do the lifting. Once on board the boat, get them in recovery position, see if they're breathing. If they're not breathing, one person can call medical services on the island or wherever the shore is to either get them ready to receive them, or in that case they were able to even get a Coast Guard people to come out to actually see them on the boat, which was fantastic. But in the meantime, deliver emergency oxygen if you can using the right attachment on the end for people who are unconscious. There's different ones, by the way. There's ones for if they're conscious, there's ones for if they're struggling to breathe. The crew should know which ones to administer for that situation. And if they're still not breathing, unfortunately CPR is a thing you're gonna have to do. It's not pleasant to do CPR if you've ever had to do it. And it's also very hard work. So if there's multiple of you, take it in turns to do the chest compressions. But yeah, apart from that, they did a very good job at handling this. Very fortunate as well that he didn't get DCS after 2 rapid ascents, partly down to the Nitrox. One of the benefits of Nitrox is obviously more oxygen in the blood, into your tissues, sorry, not blood. There's more oxygen in your tissues, which allows you to have a decreased chance of getting DCS. But yeah, all things considered, they did an actual great job. Like saying it's a highly stressful situation, it's always better to give imperfect help than aim to get perfect and worry about getting it wrong. Always give help if there's a possibility, because if they did just leave him there or didn't properly help him, he could have died, as it was shown there. So yeah, very good that his dive buddies were looking out for him on that dive. Anyway, if you guys feel like you missed anything else out there, also if anyone's seen barotrauma that bad, I've never seen a mask squeeze that bad before. I've seen it once before, someone before they arrived to go diving, there's like 2 days before, they're like, yeah, my face is still swollen a bit, he had like bruising all around his eyes. But it wasn't anywhere near as bad as this guy saying it could cause eye damage. So I've never seen it that bad, but if anyone has seen divers with really bad mask squeezes before, I'd love to hear your stories down in the comments. And let me know if I missed anything else in this video as well. Leave that down below too. And if you enjoyed the video guys, give it a like. It helps me out a ton, but help other divers find this video too. And if you want to see more from myself, Narked Tom, feel free to hit that subscribe button and leave that bell notification icon. Anyway guys, I hope you have an awesome and safe dives, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!